Back here on Pro Football Today, we're going to talk some Super Bowl odds in just a moment. It's appropriate with the slate that we have. But before that, two teams who will not be playing in the Super Bowl are at half in London. It is 22-10 Jaguars, which is remarkable considering that this was 10-0 Patriots. There's somebody on New England catching 6.5. I'm pretty disgusted. Beyond that, though, I don't think there's much for me to do here. You see the live numbers there, Donnie, 15.5, totals climbing in the 50s. What do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Jacksonville. I do think Jacksonville is going to cover. The reason why I took it money line at a parlay, so I sort of cheated it, where it's like, I don't think Jacksonville's going to be able to win by 7, where it went off at a lot of outlets. But I just said to myself, Drake May is a rookie quarterback, technically on the road here. Thought he was okay last week, thought he would make some of those mistakes. And by the way, started out this football game very good. And he hasn't been bad, 13 of 18 for 109 and 1 touchdown. But it's Jacksonville finally waking up on offense. Tank Bigsby, 8 for 39. Dearness Johnson, 1 for 10. You have Trevor Lawrence, 9 of 10 for a $131 and a touchdown pass. Jacksonville is so much more talented than the Patriots, which is why I went Jacksonville. But moving forward in this game, I do think we get the over because I don't think it's the Patriots saying, well, let's just try to keep it close. You're in evaluation mode. And the reason I always bring that up is forget about what the score is. Your goal this year is to get Drake May as much game information and stuff you can see, meaning blitz packages coming my way. How can you counter that? So I do think that New England Patriots, we have 18 passes for Drake May at the break here. I think he throws 35 in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I would look to Drake May, maybe alter his total again to 2.25, 250 if we can get there. That's what he threw for last week. He's got 109 yards. They're 4 of 8 on third down conversions. For Jacksonville, I would take a shot with Tank Bigsby in the rushing attack. Now that they have the lead, look for the ground attack to take over. I still think they'll throw it. But if they're in the fourth quarter and they have a 10, 12-point lead, look for the rushing attack to take over. Maybe we take Tank second half to hit pay dirt, guys.
By the way, quickly on this game, too, 22-10 isn't really indicative of the gameplay. You had that long punt return, which changed a lot here. And also, as we were watching, 2 for 64 for Brian Thomas. That 158-yard play, that was a real game changer at that point, changing it up. So it's not as if, like, Jackson's got 22 and they're running the Patriots off. They just made more big plays.
Yeah. It's explosiveness, absolutely. The one thing I would look at, not the craziest thing in the world, but plus 110 Drake May to throw a pick, even plus 250 Trevor Lawrence. I think both of those quarterbacks
both of them probably do.
Could still turn the football over here. As I said, neither team will be playing in the Super Bowl. But you look at today, Kansas City, San Francisco obviously is going to bring out that conversation. Lions-Vikings is going to move some numbers. Our next game coming up, Packers-Texans. I know some people preseason, that was their Super Bowl prediction here. So when we bring up the Super Bowl market, Joe, Kansas City's 5-1. You get the Ravens and the Niners then both at 7-1. And then that 10-1, 11-1 ballpark there, right? You start to see Lions, Bills, Vikings, Texans. Eagles are at 15, and then it's 20-1 or greater on everybody else. When you look at this top of the market, what really stands out to you?
The top of the market would be the Ravens because I still think they're playing as good as anybody in the NFL right now. So that would be my look. Third best overall price. I probably would bank it down on Lamar. But deep down on the list, I like Green Bay, and I liked them today against Houston. But now that Jordan Love is back, I think that offense is completely multi-dimensional. They can run it. They can throw it. The playmakers that he has. I mean, Christian Watson stepped up last week. We see Dobbs. We see Jaden Reed. I like Jordan Love, and that's not to take away from Minnesota and Detroit in the division. I just think when Jordan Love is there, outside the injury, they are the most complete team from an offensive perspective, in my opinion, in the division and potentially in the conference.
Top 2-tier teams for me, I would go with the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC and then the Detroit Lions in the NFC. But I'm with Joe here. Like, if you're just talking about a decent price on a team that, we're not even saying catches fire, just plays good football. It's the Green Bay Packers. You got the head coach who calls a great game plan, a young quarterback, who was injured, now coming back doing his own, got a little of that sloppy play out of the way, and now you see that offense for what it actually could be. But if I'm going to take that flyer shot, like 25-1 or higher, it's probably the New York Jets at 30-1, to be honest. Like, if you can have a lightning in a bottle team that gets it together at that price, like 30-1 is the Falcons. The Falcons, no way. I would never take the Falcons at 31. The Bengals, no shot would I take the Bengals. The New York Jets, with all the talent they have, you added 2 Pro Bowl players in 1 week. If they can make the playoffs, that at a 31 to the price, I think, is very good.
All right.
Wow, a lot there. Hold on.
Process.
I would, of those 30-1 teams, comfortably tell you the Jets would be the least of the trio that I would take.
No shot.
Atlanta being in the playoffs is significantly more likely than the Jets. Now, I don't think Atlanta would do anything with it. I'm not betting Atlanta. I'm also not betting the Jets. Cincinnati is more likely to make the playoffs than the Jets. They have a better price to make the Jets. Burrow is universe is better than.
But their defense is horrendous. You can't put it this way. It's not about making the playoffs for me. As I stated, was if the Jets make the playoffs, that 30-1 is going to be a steal. And the equation was, do I want the Bengals? No, the Bengals have zero shot to win a Super Bowl, and neither does Atlanta. Zero. Like minuscule. They should be 60-1 apiece.
Yeah, I'll just expand the conversation. I was looking at the Rams to make the playoffs on Wednesday. Right, they're plus 790, and I was like, well, they're similar to Cincinnati making the playoffs. They're plus 120 to make the playoffs, plus 114 in some books, the Bengals. So the books believe there's life for Joe Burrow and the team moving forward.
The schedule is easy. The pedigree
but saying
is
the schedule
there.
is easy. They've lost to the worst teams in the NFL
So
already.
realistically, when you look back at it, though, now they've only lost to one bad team. The Commanders are good. You think the Commanders are great?
No, I think the Commanders are a good
Okay,
team.
so they lost to one bad team. They've lost to one.
What was the losses that they've had?
The Patriots.
Bad.
And then they lost to the Commanders as a 7.5-point number. And we were like, that was terrible.
Smoked in that game.
Chiefs, they were significantly better than them.
Ravens.
And the Ravens, they were significantly better than as well. Now, if you tell me that they need to fire Zach Taylor in order to achieve their goal, despite Zach Taylor being a Super Bowl coach, I think I still agree with you.
The D coordinator at this point. I love him.
But again, that team should have wins over both Kansas City and Baltimore. Again, shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I've watched Cincinnati hang with the best in this league. I have. I've not seen the Jets do that at all. I've not.
Right.
Again, like the Buffalo game was saved due to a Rodgers Hail Mary. He made the play. Incredible.
You could do the same thing if they made a simple short field goal, they win. If they don't get a holding call in the goal line, they win. I understand what it feeds into, but for me, when you are looking at these football teams, top end of the spectrum, Hassan Reddick coming back, he's a 15-a-year sack guy. Now, he's going to get 15? No, he missed half the season. But now you have an elite pass rush, elite linebackers, an elite secondary, a quarterback that if he plays decent football, and now elite wide receivers and an elite running game. Like, if it all comes together, that team is way better than the Bengals or the Falcons.
He's
way
right,
better.
You're right to a degree, but we're in the middle part of the season, right? We're heading into the middle. We have an interim staff. We're hoping. I feel like we're putting Band-Aids on the New York Jets, hoping that they get there, and then every time they lose, you rip a Band-Aid off, and then there's more pain.
What I will here is, I guess where I totally understand where you're coming from is, if the Jets get there, that might mean they're playing as good as anybody in the league.
Correct.
At which point, then you can point to, man, look at the talent on this roster, and they're.
I'm saying from those teams you brought, the top end of the Jets is so much better than the Bengals and the Falcons.
I don't fully agree on Cincinnati because I think that Burrow has arguably been the best quarterback in football so far.
And I understand. Like, I love the Bengals offense, but the Bengals defense is absolutely atrocious.
I mean, I'm betting against
defense.
Cincinnati today playing the Browns, right? Yeah. So I hear you on that. The Jets just haven't inspired. You know what's funny, too, man, is if the Jets win today, I might come right to your side. It's that if they do lose this game against the Steelers, I legitimately feel the season is over, and they might trade Garrett Wilson, which is incredible to think about.
You are like the scales right now, which is why it's great conversation to have because we're arguing about teams that technically aren't in the playoffs and if they can catch a run there, and it's a fun conversation that will play out.
Well, if we're talking just playoff, because we're talking Super Bowl, I like the Rams at plus 790. I think it's a great price.
I don't agree because it seems like they're more likely to trade Cooper Kupp and just bail on the season. That's how it reads to me.
If they get today's win and they scrape back to 500.
Look, I think if you want to really take a long shot, and I know it's so tough because everybody thinks they're the worst team in the division, but the Bears at 45-1 are sat there record-wise, right there with the teams. Caleb's only getting better, and the defense is legit. My only thing is, if you're out on the Bears, I think it has to be because you don't think the defense is real.
Yeah.
Because Caleb is only going to get better, Joe.
No, he is. You're right. And again, they've won games. They've grinded it out. They've done it a ton of ways. So you're right. They have a shot.
But also, again, the Eagles who beat the Packers, and apparently everybody forgot. We'll talk about the Packers and the Houston Texans next.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the one. Obviously, Terrence Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant for that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Back to the right here is Pro Football Today. Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, and Joe Lisi. Jaguars are looking to strike once again. That'll be one of few updates I'm giving if this thing gets to 29-10. I cannot believe the way that it's. Maybe I should be in disbelief the way this game's playing out here. This is how it's supposed to play out?
Yes.
Pats get a 10-0 lead, and then all of a sudden the Jags play the best football of the season, Donnie?
The crazy part about it is, my angle in this game was, New England still got blown out last week. They have a rookie quarterback trying to play into it. But also you're trying to gauge, is this Jacksonville's last stand, and can they actually lose to a team that has such little talent as the New England Patriots? And then you get off to the 10-0 lead. It honestly looked like it was probably going to be headed to 27-3 New England. That was a wrap for Doug Peterson. And they're actually fighting back. So I do want to give them some credit for coming off the mat at 1-5 down 10-0 overseas.
Yeah, Cleveland did it last week as well against the Eagles, right? So some of these teams that seem dead and buried are stepping up now. Yeah. Can the Jacksonville Jaguars scrape themselves back to 500 when they come back? And is Peterson still the coach for the team? It remains to be seen. But Trevor Lawrence actually looks sharp today. That's the biggest thing, too. I've seen some nice throws, confident, feet look good in the pocket. He's not, running and just breaking contain, trying to avoid the rush. He stepped up, and maybe that's a testament, too, to just New England being a young football team right now and not understanding or being able to handle the elements of, Europe. We don't know preparation.
If Trevor Lawrence actually doesn't have a rushing attempt, which lets you know the offensive line's probably doing a pretty good job, and also from the slippery, slick surface.
Wow, that was a nice ball.
Was he in, though? I don't think he was in, though. Yeah.
All right, let's get over.
Could be a big play for you, Kev, right there. 4th and goal. You going for it? He kicking a field goal. They got to be kicking this, right?
He should kick,
yes,
but it's Doug.
6.5?
Yeah, it's all good. Let's get into this Packers-Texans game here, man. Stroud versus Love is a really, really fun quarterback battle. Green Bay does enter as the healthier team, though, with Nico Collins out and still some injuries for Houston's defense that last week a lot of stuff was covered up due to the fact that they were playing the New England Patriots. And look, man, they absolutely rolled in that game. Beating anyone in the NFL by 20 in their own building is a great win, and that's what the Texans put up. It was their most dominant victory of the season, but now they have a really tough task on their hands going to Green Bay here, Donnie. What do you look for in this matchup?
I think it's going to be fantastic, and you might actually be getting a Super Bowl preview because when both of these teams are healthy and at their best, they're damn near unstoppable in offense. It will be fun to play out, but as I talked about that San Francisco 49ers game earlier today, sometimes it comes down to can you protect your quarterback? So if I'm looking from Green Bay's side of things, they have an average offensive line, and yes, Love can be a mobile quarterback. He's got a lot of good young wideouts and a running game that can sort of buoy. But for me, Joe, it comes down to Hunter and Anderson on the outsides as defensive ends. If you can collapse that pocket, you can give your team a chance. But having said that, it's Green Bay Packers for me today. I just think overall they're the better football team, home field advantage on their side. Nico Collins still not being there. Look, Tank Dell's a very good wide receiver. Stephon Diggs was brought in to play big. I don't think this is a blow-up by any means, but give me the Green Bay Packers here
I'm
today.
with you. I think it's Green Bay, but I do feel we get through the 47.5. I think both offenses potentially can eat here. The matchup for me, Kev, is it's back-to-back road games for Houston, one, right? And the offenses that they have faced, dominating Buffalo with Josh Allen, limited weapons, holding them to 9 of 30 in terms of the completion percentage. And then last week, Drake May, even though he put up 250 yards, they turned him over. They had the football for a majority of the first half, built a huge first-half lead, and then just never looked back. They're going to be challenged today by all of these weapons that Green Bay has, and playing on the road, and the fact that Green Bay is a dominant home team. That's why I like Jordan Love here. They can run it. They can throw it. I like to see Christian Watson get involved. I think he duplicates the performance that he did last week. I think the rushing attack could take over. I think they win it by 7-10. It might be close for a half, but they pull away in the second half.
Yeah, this number again, it's 3. There's 2.5 still out there, so you could
kind of respect towards the Texans. 2.5 out there. I really do think that.
You think
the Texans are really good though, Don? Like, I guess, I mean, with the injuries, I hear you, but again, you're up to 3. I think at 3.5 it would be a lot of Houston.
They gave 5.5 to Arizona, right?
Yeah, they did, right? And I was on Arizona, too, which was tough because Love came out and Love was on fire. And, look, he's a touchdown throw machine. Every game he walks out there, throws 2 touchdowns, and then you kind of go from there. The interceptions so far this season, he's got 6 picks in just the 4 games. The only quarterback that's thrown more touchdowns, which is incredible because he's only played in the 4 games, is Baker this year. Like, Jordan Love is going to compete for that touchdown lead. He should not be in an MVP race. We'll handle that when he ends up being in that MVP race, but it is what it is. I look at this game, though. I kind of think under, where maybe the Nico Collins absence hits Houston a little bit harder this week. Again, we've seen the Jordan Love, turnovers. Maybe those come on the wrong side of the field. A lot has to go right to get over a number like this. I'm leaning a little bit on the under at 48.5. But the reason we did this game after that Super Bowl kind of preview is you look at this game and it kind of is a sneaky one, right? They both feel legit. If you were to invest, and I know your answer is Green Bay, so I'll go to you first, Donnie, in either the Packers or the Texans, right? Big picture. Even if it was just to win a conference. Do you feel strongly on which one of them it would be?
Look, I like the Texans. Came into them very high this season. Thought C.J. Stroud would take another step even after his tremendous rookie year. But if you're just looking at the Green Bay Packers, defensively, I think they give them a slight nod over the Texans. And again, I like the Texans defense. I think they can collapse the pocket. On offense, I just like Green Bay a little bit better. Now, granted, does that change if Nico Collins is healthy? And this would be a statement game if they go in and win at Green Bay. But when we talk about those levels where it's like, what are you going to be doing for the playoffs? I loved what I saw from Green Bay last year, and we expected that to be an extension of that playoff run last year right into the season. Almost got derailed, Joe, right off the bat against the Philadelphia Eagles with that knee injury, which Love shook off here. It would be the Green Bay Packers.
It is. It's the Green Bay for me, too, and it's because of LaFleur. I said one of the most...
coach.
Yeah. Gets very underrated. Doesn't get put with the upper echelon, I feel, in terms of the coaches. Obviously not from the Coach of the Year odds once Aaron Rodgers left, and he's done a fantastic job. And I'll just give credit to Houston. They answered the bell with the bullseye on their back, at least up until this point, right? They're, just like Jacksonville did last year, but they tailed off 1-5 down the stretch. Up until this point, they've answered all the questions. We knew that they had expectations. They've answered those. C.J. Stroud still playing well and looking great in year number 2, Kev. So,
I would look Texans because there's, for me, I think, a lot less belief that I have within some of the top end of the AFC. But I'm not running to grab either team right now. And it's because I still sit strong with the Philadelphia Eagles. We have a huge game today against the Giants. The Commanders have what's supposed to be a layup. We'll talk some NFC East next with you here on SportsGrid.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Don?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the one. Obviously, Terrence Shannon Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant with that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Back to right here on SportsGrid. We're going to get to the NFC East relevant games today in a minute. But I want to start with the division, and it'll give us a little bit of a chance then to really start with the Dallas Cowboys, because any conversation involving the NFC East is always going to feature the Dallas Cowboys, and they are on bye this week, and my, oh my, did they need it. You know, when you're 3-3, it's all good, right? No worries. When you keep getting absolutely destroyed in your building, maybe things are a little different. The only NFC teams that have a worse point differential are the 1-5 Panthers and the 1-4 LA Rams. Donnie, the concern level, the panic level for the Cowboys sitting at 3-3 going into the bye week.
It's very high, but also understand this. Sometimes you panic and say this defense is getting shredded. Well, they are getting shredded partly because the past couple weeks you're down your two best pass rushers, which any team that you're looking for, whatever your favorite team is, take your two best pass rushers out of the game, which, by the way, are one of the best, some of the best, I should say, in the NFL, maybe one of the best tandems here. You're not going to perform all that well, but that's where it's up to the highest paid player in the history of professional football to say, let me just take this on my side, and I can win us a couple of these games. Maybe you take one of the highest paid wide receivers in the history of the sport and say, boy, maybe we can be a connection here.
Yeah.
Maybe we can, you know what? We can win a game 31-30, and we'll worry about the defense at a later time. When I look at the Dallas Cowboys, I am worried, and I was worried from day number one. When Jerry Jones said, we're all in, I said, oh, my God, Joe, here's what's going to happen. They're going to re-up Dak, lower his cap number. They're going to re-up CeeDee Lamb. They're going to re-up Micah Parsons. They're going to get 3 more Pro Bowl players because, Jerry, time is not on your side. And it hasn't worked out at all. 3-3, and the way they're getting beat, it's embarrassing. I have no lifeline right now for the Dallas Cowboys.
If this was Monday or Thursday and we had that panic meter, whoop,
wow.
whoop, and
Yeah.
fuego, and
Yeah.
fuego. And it's not just for the product on the field, Kev. It's for Jerry Jones now, because you saw the interview with the local radio station where they called him out. So now when Jerry starts to feel pressure, where do you think that pressure is going to go? So it doesn't matter if you're playing a sub-500 team or you're playing the Eagles or another dominant team in regards to the NFC like Detroit. You need to step up, and you need to especially play well. I have no confidence in the defense whatsoever. I think Mike Zimmer's done a terrible job taking over for Dan Quinn. He has no idea or concept how to game plan in big matchups, and they can't stop the run against Baltimore. All of a sudden, they're getting ripped by Daniel Jones on a Thursday night with 281 yards. They win that game, but they're not covering. I do not like this team big picture. They might limp to the playoffs, but I have no confidence that they're going to win at least one playoff game and certainly make it to the championship.
I think it is situations like this where having a lame duck coach has to backfire. I don't know how Mike McCarthy rallies this group. Dak knows he's going to be here forever.
Yes.
CD knows he's going to be here forever. And they also all know they're going to get a new head coach next season. I'm not sure the message delivers. And not only are they going to get a new head coach, It's going to be cleaning a house. Mike Zimmer legitimately could get fired at the end of Week 8. The Niners are on deck. Either the Niners will be looked at as the best team in the world if they lose to Kansas City, or in a monster bounce-back spot, and then people, again, will be looking for the Niners to absolutely roll through that team. Maybe they get healthy. Maybe they get Parsons back. Tank Lawrence is around the corner at some point, but the defense was bad when those guys were there. That's kind of the thing. It's only getting worse. I think the where this elevated for Dallas, because I was on Dallas against Detroit, and I'm not trying to take credit away from the Lions. I don't care. I know their defense is not as good as they showed in that game. And the fact that, if you said, hey, Detroit scores 47, all right, I lost my bet, okay? I don't think Dallas hung 50 on them. But if you would have said, hey, Detroit scored 30, no, I probably covered. Honestly, I probably covered. Worst case, they ended up losing the game 30-24, Donnie. That, to me, is the crazier part of it, because defensively, I know it's disastrous, but what is the argument, or what is the understanding that we could have for this offense scoring 9 points against Detroit at home?
That was the worst part about it. My best bet was Dak Prescott over 1.5 touchdown passes, and loved what I saw in the first half, because Dak is usually very good in the second half when the pressure's off and you just dink and dunk and pile up numbers. He wasn't able to do that, which is definitely a red flag. Also, the running game, which every single person who analyzed the Dallas Cowboys coming into the season said, Rico Dowdle's going to be your starting running back. How's that going to work out for you? And it's been horrendous. And you get back where Derrick Henry is basically knocking on Jerry Jones' door. I want to be a Cowboy. I'll probably take a discount. We got Rico over this side. You know what? Welcome back, Zeke. Your quarterback's best friend is a good ground game. They don't have it.
No, they don't. And they passed on Braylon Allen in the draft, too. Multiple opportunities to take him.
It's back to him.
No, they did. They did. Cowboys Twitter, like, hold on. Tyron Smith is blocking for Braylon Allen. This must be great. Wait, why are the Jets on my TV? Let's talk Eagles, Commanders, and Giants, and the little Panthers. Next, right here on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Don?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from, just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the one. Obviously, Terrence Shannon Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant for that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in. We're live with you right here on SportsGrid, lining up some games that involve the NFC East today. And I think it's appropriate we get to what I think is the biggest narrative bounce-back spot you will see all season long. Saquon against the Giants, you knew that was going to draw attention.
Yeah.
Saquon against the Giants, coming off of obviously his worst game as an Eagle, he doesn't get to 50 yards. It was the first time he was held under 80. In the receiving game, did nothing. Kept out of the end zone for 2 straight games now, and goes up against the Giants defense that is very banged up. We know Thibodeau is out, okay? Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns slapped with questionable tags. I know inactive reports are kind of pouring out here. It looks like they're going to play, but it shows that they're not at 100%. And again, I'm not sure any of that matters because, quite frankly, you could put the purple curtain out there is out, a steel curtain, whatever, the purple people eaters.
Purple people eaters.
There we go. Combine the two of them. Combine the two of them,
really good
and
defense,
people would be betting Saquon Barkley through his totals anytime, 2+, 3+ here. I am starting specifically on that angle, and then we can get to the rest of the game. What do you think about Saquon Barkley in this spot?
I think he gets multiple touchdowns.
Yeah.
I do. I think they're going to feed him the rock, not just on the ground, but in the passing attack as well. I think get him out in space and allow him to eat and showcase why, he's with the Eagles and the Giants didn't want to pay him. I honestly believe that. I think they open up the offense. They were a little conservative, Kev, last week, coming out of the bye week. Maybe it was because of Devontae and A.J. Brown just coming back for the first game after the long layoff, but they looked out of sync. I think this game you'll get the best version of the Eagles from an offensive perspective, Donnie. I like the over. We could break it down, but I think the Eagles definitely implement Saquon in that regard.
Here's the one thing the Eagles have to do, and it's something every single team in the NFL has done. Scored in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Eagles haven't done that yet. That's absolutely flat-out embarrassing, and that's supposed to be when you're doing your scoring because you have your scripted plays in, which means I studied this defense all week long. Here's are the best plays to attack it, and I want to see how it looks on paper. You're supposed to go down the field and score. They haven't done that yet. That's checkpoint number one. The number two, how do they handle with Jordan Mailata? Your superstar left tackle is not going to play in this football game, and you do have a very good pass rush for the Giants. Say what you want about their linebackers and secondary, they can get home. And then Sexy Dexy in the middle, absolutely creating havoc. But you are right about this. If you're playing the narratives, you can't guarantee that, Saquon Barkley is going to have a good football game. You can guarantee you get a ball 15, 20 times. How many yards does that equate? But the one thing I do know, and it usually operates this way, I understand the tush-push is what the Philadelphia Eagles do when they're inside the 1-yard line. But sometimes it means bigger because they understand if you're reading the tea leaves this week for how Saquon is treating this game, hey, I hope they don't boo me. I liked my time as a Giants. I know the Giants fans like me, but you go to a rival. They're going to maybe clap for you in the pregame, boo the hell out of you during this football game, but let it be known how much it would mean to Saquon Barkley as your franchise running back that's going to be in Philadelphia for a couple years. If I'm on the 1-yard line, I need that football. I need to score in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll set you up with this, Kevin. The one thing from the spread perspective, it is a little fishy of a line, right? Because think about this. The Cowboys laid 5.5 on Thursday night. They didn't cover, right? At that particular time, Cowboys were looked at as the dominant team. The Eagles won. They just didn't cover against Cleveland. I think that you're talking about a team in the New York Giants that were catching 3.5 against Cincinnati. You're telling me the Eagles shouldn't be laying more, even though it's a divisional game? They've lost 3 straight at home, 3 straight to the under here. I'm not betting it, meaning the side, and I know you're happy. I lean to the Eagles, but I really love the over. I think they throw the kitchen sink at the Giants.
So I think the Eagles have a chance to go big. So let's kind of parse through what you kind of tossed out there, though, about this line. So I'm on the Eagles -3. And let me just – I hate doing this because I shouldn't have to, but it is the first time I am betting the Eagles so far this season, okay? So I don't want to hear about the bias and none of that nonsense. You mentioned kind of the fishy line. I think there's justifications for all of it, but I disagree with everything. I think people look at the game against the Browns last week, very similar to how you kind of were describing, where it was like 2016, unimpressive, that's garbage, you should have rolled that team, drop them. Cincinnati laid 3.5. Despite the fact that the Eagles have a better record – again,
right.
Bengals are better. Burrow would light them up. 700 passing yards. Jamar Chase would be in the end zone 2 to 3, if not 4 times. So, but I disagree with that. If you'll note, I mentioned them on the Browns. It's kind of a weird spot. I don't know how many times we'll see this, but the Giants, Eagles, Browns, and Bengals all kind of doing a Royal Rumble. I'm on Cleveland. I'm on Philly. I think the numbers are out of whack across the board. I'm kind of bouncing off of what I feel are a pair of overreactions and inappropriate adjustments within those games. I am laying the 3 with Philly. This is a great spot for them because despite being someone who was on the Browns in that game against the Birds, the Eagles to me looked comfortably better in that game. So I'm laying it here, Donnie. I think their offense does have an opportunity to go big in this game. I will say, I love Jalen Hurts. I also think that he can be very annoying. I bet him anytime touchdown. I'm telling you right now, they get on that 1 yard line, he's still going to push
like
this
Dio
thing.
and Donovan McNabb out there were just like trying to fight each other and get after it. But
Yes.
if we are looking at some of the betting percentages here, 78% of the tickets coming in on Philadelphia. That line, as we know, opened up at 3.5 now, basically threes across the board. That leaves a little bit to be desired. And also keep in mind, last year I remember sitting, about to do a studio show in here, where we're watching the Philadelphia Eagles get hammered by the Giants to end that season in a meaningless game for the Philadelphia Eagles, which got their quarterback hurt and their star wide receiver hurt, and they got planted by Tampa Bay just a week later. Now, do I think times have changed? Yes, I do. I just feel this game is going to be closer, almost a similar to way, Joe, that we saw that last week played against Cleveland. Quite frankly, if the Eagles, you said, hey, they're not going to give up an offensive touchdown. They should have won and covered the spread, but they didn't. I don't know how explosive the Eagles are going to be in this game today because I think that pass rush is going to give Jalen Hurts some problems in this game.
We'll see. If they can get to Hurts, then the Giants will be in it. And then, especially the turnovers. On the road, you have to limit turnovers. Jalen Hurts in critical matchups, especially New Orleans and Tampa Bay, a little bit not clean with the football. So that's the way it'll play out. I do like him, though, Kev, over the 213.5. I do feel it's a light number. We saw him break out in the fourth quarter. He throws the big play to A.J. Brown on third down to seal the deal. Yeah. I expect them to throw first and then open up the rushing attack with Saquon.
Getting over to Commanders-Panthers here. It's a 9.5-point spread. And it's funny because I think with how I bet, I would have expected, maybe I have to take Carolina. I know I got beat up last week. The Panthers are the worst team in the NFL by a ton.
Yes.
Dalton is better than Bryce. He is. But he is still Andy Dalton and makes mistakes. But more than anything, this defense entered this year, people were hoping it could be better. And then the early showing was giving up 40 to the Saints. And then all of a sudden, boom, they lose Derek Brown. And then they followed it up by losing one of their key middle linebackers. And now you look around, and this Carolina defense is hopeless. Now, there's going to be a game or two where they step up. Joe, I cannot wrap my head around this defense stepping up against an offense that has been mostly impossible to stop throughout this NFL season.
I'm going to shock you. So I'm a big Jaden Daniels lover, right?
Wow.
Right? I love Washington, and they played a huge game last week. They lose 30-23. They don't cover as a 6.5-point road dog. I don't think Washington should be favored at this point at home, 8.5 points over anybody. And is there an emotional letdown playing Lamar? I'm not saying we're suggesting from Jaden, but the team as a whole, knowing, hey, we're on a roll. We won 4 games. Huge step-up spot for us. We'll give it our all. We lose. We laid it all out. We got Carolina coming into our house. Oh, we'll clean their clock, right? I'm not suggesting they lose. Yeah. I'm just suggesting this game's similar to what we saw maybe with Cleveland and Philly last week, where it's an ugly game. Maybe Jaden a little out of sync. And with the veteran quarterback, that can keep you in it. So I like to look last week with you with Carolina. I'm willing to go back one more week because I don't feel Washington is complete to be 8.5-point favorites over anybody.
And they're actually up to 9.5. It's a 4:00 game. Could we actually see double digits?
That's
and I think,
crazy.
like your point is, these are the lines that we used to see like Kansas City when they're full gas at home in Arrowhead, favored by like 10 points over a Carolina Panthers. We're giving a lot of respect to the Commanders, and rightfully so. They've been wonderful on offense, but is this one of those games to say, hey, look, the rookie is not perfect. Yes, they can win this football game, but are we anticipating 24-3 at the break Washington, which is way this game is supposed to play out?
Yeah, again, I'm not on a game, but the 2 games prior, 42-14, 34-13,
they hammered teams.
Yes, they absolutely rolled some teams. We keep rolling right here on SportsGrid after this.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, guys?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the one. Obviously, Terrence Shannon Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant for that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What did he say?
Yeah.
Football Today.
Maybe the best play of the year.
Listen, let's just cut into it because I don't care, man. We got plenty of time. We're watching, obviously, I'm sure as you all are, Jags Patriots. Donnie needs Ramondre Stevenson to get like 11 yards. Considering he got 14 on the opening drive, that's pretty tough. But I think what is it, a Freudian slip?
Freudian slip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, he goes, look at LeBron. Talking about Ramondre in the backfield there. I don't know. That broke me, man. How many yards do you need, Donnie, exactly?
Let me see. Let me get the people updated right now.
Yeah, give people some
removing the
interest.
football from New England, mixing the run, 7 for 18. I need 7 yards.
Okay.
So, see,
right.
I know how this ends.
Does he get it,
he gets a carry, and it goes for like 6.
No,
that's the way it always ends.
He's going to get it. I think if they get it out around like the 30, they're in pass mode right now just to get it out of this. He's throwing well. Look at that.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, we'll follow this one, man. Mention LeBron. Should we just do an NBA preview here, Lisi?
Does it open this week?
Sell Redick.
Tuesday.
Sell Redick. Selling the whole team. No heart. No heart.
JJ Redick, Coach of the Year.
Kawhi. Have a little Kawhi talk. Kawhi going to play this year? Yes, no?
No, he absolutely is not. All right, let's do some party overs here. Let's look for some juice. I believe the biggest total on the board today. And listen, I don't care. I'm ready to get smashed with my dumbest bet of the season.
Uh-oh.
I almost made it my best bet, but I cowered it out a little bit.
Okay.
I love the under in Falcons Seahawks.
Really?
This thing's 52. Man, I looked up. This is the highest paced game on the board.
Yeah.
The defenses have both looked bad. Atlanta throws the football every single play now. I think 52 is too high. Seattle went to Detroit. That total was 47.5. 5 points more than a Detroit Lions total? The Atlanta Falcons are seeing a touchdown added to what their normal totals were on a game-to-game basis now? I'm selling. This total's too high. I'm on under 52, Joe.
You might get me with you. I don't know if I'll bet it, but I'm in that camp because I just don't know if Kirk Cousins is going to light up for 350 and 4 touchdowns. They put up 36 points against Tampa.
Yeah.
They backed it up with another 38 point performance on the road against Carolina, and I honestly believe that Seattle's banged up. They're a 3-3 football team now and have lost 3 straight. What are you going to get on the road? They need to run the football more consistently. They can't just roll out Geno Smith on every play throwing 55 times a game. You need something out of Kenneth Walker. He got 34 yards. So look for Bijan and Kenneth Walker, I think, to both have a huge part of the offense, and that would lean to turning of the clock and under.
Yeah, by the way, the last couple games, you're right about that. 42-29, 29-20, and then 36-24. That defense has absolutely got bombed on for Seattle. I'm 49.5 is a total now, up in the 50s. It is hard to get 50 points there, but if you're looking at, both of these teams, they can run the ball and they can pass the ball, and it's in a dome. It's usually a recipe for success most of the time. Tyler Algier last week shot out of the cannon. Yeah. Monster day. If him and Bijan are running that way, opens up that entire passing game, and Walker is active today because he did have that illness this week.
I'm glad you mentioned Algier. I wanted to make this point. Yeah. I'm not betting Bijan today. I think he makes a lot of sense, but you saw all the Algier usage of his 18 carries. 10 on the final 2 drives when that game was over. This is still Bijan's backfield. I know Algier just won't go away, but Bijan last week was given appropriate usage in that game. Raiders-Rams. Let me let you guys go first here. Lisi, we got some juice in this game. What are we doing here with Rams-Raiders?
43 and a half is, a light number when you just look at it. I think the Rams are going to win this matchup. I think they're going to dominate, win by double digits. And we saw Aiden O'Connell be turnover prone and move the football at the same time on the Steelers, just couldn't convert inside the red zone. So I think it's going to be similar to what we saw the last few Raider games, right? Raiders allowed 30 points to Pittsburgh. They allowed, 38 to Denver? Now we're on the road in L.A. Here. I think they get blown out.
I don't think Cooper Kupp's trending in the right direction to play. But if you are, honestly, though, I don't know if Joe's right. Look at the offense that you're going to get out on the field. It's Brock Bowers, and it's absolutely nothing else. And by the way, Brock Bowers is still a rookie here. Yeah. Wide receiving court. Let me know if anybody knows who these guys are. Wilkerson, Turner, and Tucker. That's their wideouts today for the Rams. Or, excuse me, the Raiders.
I have spent 3 years now thinking that Turner was a running back. Every time I'm like, ooh, how's this team do against backs? I'm like, ooh, Turner had 32 yards. They must struggle. And I'm like, oh, that's wrong. I'm on the Raiders +7. I'm annoyed because it's not that expensive to get 7.5 out there now. Yeah. I don't care. The Rams laying 7 is way too many. I don't think that defense is that good. There's still nothing out there outside of Kyron Williams and Matty Staff. I know they've had some good step-up wins. Look, they're also a 1-4 football team, man. I just can't. I cannot get there on the Rams laying this type of number. I've also just accepted I'm higher on Aiden O'Connell than I'm supposed to be, where basically everyone thinks he's the worst quarterback in the world. Here's how I'll put it this way. If Gardner was the quarterback, this would be 5.5.
Right.
And I think Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell are the same, so I'm going to take the Raiders +7. One more for you guys. Party over, Donnie, in Buffalo?
Yes, absolutely. Here's the reason why we like it, because it's primarily the Buffalo Bills. This is the best Bills offense you're going to get for the entire season. Healthy at running back. And keep in mind, James Cook, who I liked coming into the season, excelled. Got banged up a little bit, but now you saw the 2 backup running backs come in and be really good. Then you take a look at the wide receiver position, which we were questioning coming in. Keon Coleman waiting to see if he's still going to be an active threat, let's just say the least, on the outside. But now you have Shakir back, finally healthy in a couple weeks here. Now you also bring over Amari Cooper at wide receiver. 2 very good tight ends here. And Josh Allen, who's not turning the football over in the passing game. For me, there's no reason to believe, Joe, that the Buffalo Bills will not have 27-plus points in this game. And looking from a Titans perspective now, you have 3 legitimate wide receivers. You actually have a quarterback that isn't very good, but better than Will Levis, and I think can absolutely move the football. Now, moving the football means 13 to 17 points, but I think that's all you need in this game if you want the total.
It's what we talked about pre-show is that, what are you going to get out of the Tennessee Titans? Yep. Can they get you 13? Yep. Can they get you 17? With Mason Rudolph, you have a much better shot than with Will Levis, I could tell you that. I will say they have to get Calvin Ridley involved. I mean, the guy had no catches. He's your number 1 wide receiver. Can you get the guy involved?
Had 8 targets, though. They got it. No. And I'm not even laughing with you. I'm just that's how bad the situation is, man. I'm going to get to this game in crunch. We'll talk about some high-scoring teams as well and a quick London update. Lot to do. We'll do it after this break.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Don?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do sliding DiVincenzo to the one. Obviously, Terrence Shannon Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant with that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Back right here at Pro Football Today. Quick update in London. Jags-Patriots, a 9-point game. New England goes for the 2. I know you guys probably don't like that. I love it because it's actually great to sneak out a plus 6.5 cover here, Donnie, which is now a game that's a 25-16 lead for Jackson.
Yeah, and honestly, there's still 8:22 on the clock. It's not like they went for 2 because it was 3 minutes left in the game. But the key ingredient is going to be, can they stop Tank Bigsby in this running game? They haven't done so before. By the way, did you know in the second half alone, guys, an 11-minute, 22-minute drive, 11-minute, 22-second drive for the Jaguars got no points.
Man, it's crazy. They have to get off the field. It's right on the game total, right? 41.5 was the pre-game total. It dipped down from 42.5. So, I mean, New England's fighting. Get third down and long and see if you can get off the field, and then let's get the back door, Kev. Let's get the touchdown on the field goal. Everything is on the table.
That's what we're rooting for here. All right, before we move over to Crunch, most points scored by a team, because we like to kind of, with the party over, follow up here. Is there anyone that you guys could see as potential value in this market?
Should I tell you? Eagles?
I agree.
35?
All right, I'll
40?
give you
No, I agree.
I'll give you a backup. You want
agree.
a backup? L.A. Rams.
Rams is a good one.
Because I think the Rams
is terrible indeed.
I think the Rams are going to smash them tonight.
Yeah, the easy one for
wrong.
me would be Washington, because you're going up against just bad all over the place. And also, you're not going to get running mate's the wrong word to use with Carolina, but you might get a competent offense that can get into the 20s, which means they legitimately could get into the 40s.
Yeah, and Green Bay, Houston, whoever wins that game, it wouldn't shock me if that game got into the high 30s or one team reaches 40 tonight.
I will quickly throw this out, and I wish it was going to be my sell me something, but it started, so I didn't want to give people a pick they couldn't get access to. Highest point scored by any team today, over 39.5. This has hit every week so far but one, and that's because the team that went over the number just happened to play on Monday night, which was Buffalo. Somebody's getting us 40 at minus 135. If you're out there and you're on it, let's root it in.
Yeah.
You didn't get it, be a friend. Root it in. Let's get some juice. And then let's root in these Sunday morning crunches here because we're looking for 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, a little 9-0. We get involved now with the Sunday morning crunch.
All right, let's go. We talk about Seattle All right, let's talk about the game, Seattle and Atlanta. We think it might be an under, but I still like JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba to get over his 51.5. He was through this total last week, 4 receptions, 53 yards. Stop looking at DK Metcalf and Lockett. I think it's JSN today to get through his number. We talk about Detroit and Minnesota. For Minnesota to win this game, Kevin, it has to be Sam Darnold has to be the passing attack. JJ, Justin Jefferson, 91.5. I think he has to get to $1.25 to potentially pull out that victory. So give me JJ over his number. And then Jalen Hurts, 213.5, 214. I think Philly opens up with the passing attack to open up Saquon and the rushing attack in the second half of the matchup. I think Philly dominates the game. I think the game sails through the total. So give me Jalen Hurts, guys, over his total.
The one I like the best on that is if you're just looking to bet the Minnesota Vikings, don't worry about betting the Vikings. Just bet Justin Jefferson, because if he does not go over his total, at least get into the mid-90s, they're going to get cooked in this game today. I believe that. So I think that's a strong one. Crunch for me today. Buying low on the first guy. Tight end here who's a backup for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's Grant Calcaterra, 24.5 receiving yards. Minus 113 price here. There's only 2 active tight ends on the Philadelphia Eagles, and one of those is not Dallas Goedert. So first and foremost, Calcaterra is going to be getting those receptions. Last weekend had a decent game, 4 catches for 67 yards in a lower scoring game against Cleveland. Number 2, Josh Allen, over 1.5 touchdown passes. Typically, you'd see me take this like, hey, minus 130, minus 140. How about Josh Allen today? Plus 108 to throw 2 touchdowns. I'm getting some discounts here going up against the Titans. I'll take that. Number 3, Brandon Ayuk, over 57.5 receiving yards. Somebody's got to step up here for Brock Purdy. I believe this is going to be Ayuk's day. If we're looking at, Juwan Jennings not going to be there, a rookie going to make his debut in the slot, and then on the other side, Deebo Samuel, maybe he doesn't have that wrist, all that's cracked up to be today. Come on, give me Ayuk. Let's go.
I thought he'd jump on Pearsall today.
Do we have numbers?
He's playing.
He's got
today.
a shot to get through it. All right.
The question is, how long is Pearsall's pants going to be today in the game? Are they going to be like biker shorts? I mean, that guy was trendsetter.
No knee pads, right?
Let me grab the baton
pad.
with the Niners here. I'll take Brock Purdy over 1.5 passing touchdowns, minus 105.
Wow.
7 of 9 touchdowns allowed by KC this year through the air. Brock Purdy last season, a passing touchdown machine. Through 3 last week, I think he gets hot. Give me Jalen Hurts' longest run over 12.5. 4 of 6 quarterbacks have hit this against the Giants. Burrow last week broke the big one. Geno Smith broke a huge one as well. Look for some juice with Hurts on the ground in a bounce-back spot. He's missed 2 in a row. Let's also get James Cook for 60-plus rushing yards. Workload's too big against this Tennessee team. With Ray Davis banged up, James Cook gets his. You've got Cap on deck.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Don?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the 1. Obviously, Terrence Shannon Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant for that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.